Hi there, welcome to my channel. Usually I do music covers on here, but once in a while I've been throwing in some other types of videos recently. I've done two different tutorial videos, and I did a video about my uh, CD collection recently. So this time I'm going to talk about my practice routine. What is my practice routine for piano and even other instruments? Um, let's see. So I'm 28 years old right now, in 2022. I just turned 28, and I've been playing piano since I first started taking lessons when I was 7 years old. Uh, so that's a long time. But when I was little, I took lessons as something to keep me occupied and something to do. And my family and my parents thought it was good for me when I was little. Because believe it or not, when I was little, I used to say apparently that I was bored in school or something like that. And I guess it was my grandma's idea that I start taking lessons. And for whatever reason, I guess I enjoyed it enough and practiced enough to where I stuck with it through when I was little with classical music. And then in middle school, I started picking up jazz because I did jazz band. So that's when I got into jazz away from classical. And then in high school, I didn't have any jazz band or jazz ensemble at school, but I continued to take lessons, practiced a little bit. I wasn't really structured, but I played music all throughout high school, but I didn't really have a particular practice schedule. I just wanted to give you a little bit of my history before we get to where I am now. So I played throughout high school. I even auditioned for music schools, but I had a lot of mental health stuff going on in high school, and I really it wasn't the strongest point in my life mentally, or just with things like taking care of myself and knowing myself and confidence and stuff like that. So I did audition for music schools, but I really wasn't prepared enough at the time. And I don't think I might have got into some of them. I might have got into Berkeley, but I don't think they offered me any financial aid. I don't remember exactly, but I auditioned for a bunch of schools. I didn't end up going to music school. I went to Sarah Lawrence College, which is a liberal arts college, and I enjoyed it a lot there. And I did music there. I did a lot of music there in college. I continued to take lessons, at least for the first 2 years. I took private piano lessons, but I did music ensembles all throughout. And there was a time in college, especially my first 2 years of college, where I tried to practice 4 or 5 days a week for 2 hours a day. Now, that was probably, and I had a practice log where I wrote everything down that I was doing. And in that time, I really did advance a lot with my jazz. Um, but that's not where I'm at today. Um, I graduated college in 2017, so it's been almost exactly 5 years ago that I graduated college. And I started working in October 2017. I started teaching English as a second language in Trenton. I did that for about 2.5 years, working 20 and then 30 hours a week. And so, with that being my life, I didn't expect to do that out of college, but I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed teaching and I enjoyed my work. And it was hard to find time to practice. And I had a lot of new adult things to learn. And I could not, at this stage in my life, now I work 40 hours a week. I'm full time. So now I've finally figured out a way to kind of have a practice routine and have other goals in my free time aside from what I do in work. Um, but yeah, the point of all that was to get us to where we are now. So I don't take lessons like I did in high school or college. I don't take lessons with anyone anymore. Although I did that for so long, I don't really need to anymore where I'm at. I could, but it's expensive, and I prefer to learn on my own at this stage. So that's what I do. I learn on my own, and I have a practice routine. And I was going to say, I can't afford the time to practice like I did at certain points in college, where I did an hour, 2 hours, or even more, um, 3, 4, 5 days a week. That's not realistic for me. And I don't know if I even want to practice every day, honestly. Um, right now, my job is I work at LALDEF, the Latin American Legal Defense and Education Fund in Trenton. I've been there for about a year, and I am an adult education programs manager. So we have an English as a second language program and some other adult ed programs there, which I oversee and manage. And that's my day job. And I've been there for exactly a year now. So yeah, and before that, during COVID, I wasn't working, but I've been there for a year. And so what I'm trying to say is, since I got out of college, I've been working. There was 1 year with COVID where I wasn't working, but besides that, I've been working out of college, and I had to figure out how to create a practice schedule. So the schedule that I do now is I practice 2 hours a week, on a good week, sometimes more, sometimes less, but the goal is 2 hours of practice. And I break that up into half an hour chunks. So right now with piano, I'm doing half an hour of form and technique, which I decided is something I really need to work on. Relaxed wrists, using the weight of the arms, learning Alexander technique. That's what I mean by form and technique. Just playing with less tension and more ease and relaxation. So each week I do half an hour of form and technique, half an hour of chord voicings, and I have some books I use for the chord voicings here now. I've been working through this book, Jazz Piano Voicings for Two Hands. I have this one, which I haven't looked at as much, but it's just another book about voicings. So I bought those in recently, and I've been going through those. So yeah, half an hour form and technique, half an hour voicings, half an hour whatever YouTube piece I'm going to be doing in my next whatever video I'm working on. So half an hour of a YouTube cover, and half an hour of an old jazz song, a new jazz song, or sometimes a classical piece. So for example, for that half hour of a jazz song, in January I did the song Get Happy, which was a jazz standard that was kind of new to me. I had heard it before, but I didn't really know how to play it. So I learned that as a new piece. And then, or maybe it was February that I did that, and whatever. So 1 month I did that. Another month I did a piece that I was already familiar with, but I worked it more and did new things with it. And then in March I didn't really do anything in that category. But in April now I'm doing a classical piece for that half hour instead of a jazz piece. So there's like an intermediate level classical piece that's taking me forever to learn, but I've learned pretty much all of it now. It's a matter of putting it all together now to a complete whole. So yeah, I'm talking a lot, but basically, yeah, I have 4 chunks of half an hour, and usually I do 1 hour during the week and 1 hour on the weekend. So I'll do 2 of those half-hour chunks in a 1 hour segment during the week, and two of those half-hour chunks in a 1 hour segment on the weekend. And so that's what I do with my piano practice. I know 2 hours a week is not a crazy amount, but you know, it's not like I'm gonna be advancing super quickly at that rate, but it's better than nothing, you know? And like I said, I work full time, I do other things, I exercise, I like to learn languages. My whole life is not music. And so that's the system that works for me right now. In the fall of 2021, I do my goals like every quarter or every 4 months, like 3 times a year. I come up with goals for a couple months. And in the fall of 2021, with my music, I tried to do 4 hours a week. So those practice segments, I would do 2 hours during the week and 2 hours on the weekend. And every week, there was like 1 or 2 weeks where I got that, but I really couldn't even afford that. I couldn't afford 4 hours a week. And so I arrived at this 2 hours a week because it's more realistic for me, which is a very important thing with goal setting. So I know I've been really focused on me here, but if you're someone who's trying to create a practice routine, be realistic. You don't have to listen to videos online on YouTube or certain teachers who tell you you need to be doing it every day. Be realistic with yourself and your goals, especially if you're doing your own routine and if you're just learning it yourself. I can't do it every day, and I work 40 hours a week. I work full time. I'm amazed that I've been able to keep up YouTube as long as I have, because even that's like, I record every 2 weeks, and that's like an extra, it's almost like an extra 10 hours of work. So it's like every 2 weeks I have a normal work week and then this 10 hours of YouTube added to my week. So even that's a lot, just maintaining the YouTube channel. But yeah, man, I tend to ramble here, but I wonder if this video is turning out longer than I expected. But yeah, so 4 hours a week was not realistic for me. 2 hours I've done pretty well. And I've been doing something else too, is that I do 2 hours a week of piano, and then the next week I switch off. I do guitar and voice for 2 hours. Now I've been kind of slacking with the voice and guitar. A lot of times I would do 1 hour of guitar and then forget the voice, and then the next week 2 hours of piano. So I switch off each week like that. And this past week I actually did, because I knew I was recording YouTube videos this weekend, which takes up a big chunk of time. So I scaled it back even more. I did just 1 hour of guitar and voice total. So I did half an hour guitar, half an hour voice. And voice, even though I've been singing for a while, is very new to me to study that. But even that half hour was very effective. And it was much better to be realistic and do 1 hour of that this week, rather than try for 2 hours and be disappointed that I couldn't do 2 hours. So it's not a lot, but it was something, and something's always better than nothing. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. Anyways, thank you for sticking with me in this video and listening to me talk a little bit about my practice routine. I feel like I just barely scratched the surface with this topic. There's a lot I could talk about, a lot more I could talk about. But I just wanted to address it a little bit, and I thought it would make an interesting video for any interested musicians or anyone who watches my channel to hear about. I think the key word I hit on was realistic before. I try and be realistic with my practice routine. Like I said, 4 hours a week for me was not realistic when I'm working 40 hours and I have chores at home and other things, life, budgeting, whatever, I don't know, exercise, just other stuff in my life. And 2 hours a week I can do, and I stick to it, and it's been pretty good. And it feels good to reach the goal rather realistically, even if it's not a super crazy goal, rather than set unrealistic expectations that you can't reach and feel disappointed week after week, which is what happened when I had the 4 hours a week goal. So again, I feel like I've just barely scratched the surface, but it was an interesting thing to talk about, and I hope you got something out of it. If you are creating your own practice routine, be realistic, be kind to yourself. Try and make it fun, definitely. I don't know. Work it into your life. Don't let it take over your life, and don't take on more than you can do. Learning music will take a long time, and you can take it slowly, and that's fine. As long as, for me, I just want to keep improving and keep learning new things, which I definitely have been doing this year and last year especially. There was a big period where I didn't practice. I actually had some physical issues. I had a pinched nerve in my upper back out of college, and I wasn't practicing for a while. I didn't practice regularly at all, and I had to fix that issue, and I got into exercise, which really helped. But yeah, I'm not sure how to end this video because there is so much more I could talk about, but I just wanted to get into it a little bit, into my practice routine. And yeah, so right now it's 2 hours a week in those 4 half-an-hour blocks. And another thing about those blocks is they're kind of interchangeable. Like right now I'm doing form and technique for 1 of the half hours, but in the future I might switch that out and do scales or something, which I was doing scales before, but now I'm not, because I switched that out for voicing. So I might put different topics in those half-hour blocks and just keep you know, there's definitely a lot of stuff you could work on. I could work on transcriptions or licks or just songs more. That's where I'm at right now. 2 hours a week, piano, and then the next switching off with guitar and voice. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it. I hope I didn't ramble on too much in a way that is incoherent. But yeah, I appreciate you watching, spending time with me, and yeah, this is such a blessing to be able to do what I do here on YouTube. So thanks again for watching, and have a good one.